Hey guys, I'm Fancy.
And I'm Colleen.
And this is Murder by Design. So hey guys, welcome back. We're here again tonight with Sheryl McCollum. She's one of our favorite guests, our CSI analyst that comes and tells us how everything goes down in a case. And she is also the Cold Case Research Institute founder, and that is an amazing place that does wonderful things to help solve some of these cold cases that have gone, for too long. And tonight, Colleen could not join us tonight, so Brandy is here with us tonight. So excited to have her back and be in here to be here for us. So thank you so much, Sheryl, for joining us. So tonight we're going to talk about a case that is, I swear, I say this every time, it's getting stranger and stranger every day. We've got the Vallow case, and I don't think anything is going to sit there and go out there and be weirder. I don't think anything's going to be weirder than that. But this case, the Vanessa Guillén case out of Fort Hood, Texas, is just, holy crap, it's crazy. So why don't you tell us just a little bit of the rundown of the story, Sheryl, because you've got the details. So,
listen, you have this beautiful soldier from Florida who is now stationed at Fort Hood, and April 22nd, she goes missing. And the Army basically treats it like she's AWOL. Like, maybe she's just, with some dude somewhere having a great time. Maybe she's with friends, whatever. So they don't take it seriously. Her family is frantic because this is not like her. Her family then gets in the car and drives to Fort Hood to search for her because they know this is uncharacteristic and they know something has happened. And they feel like, get a straight answer from the Army.
Right.
And you don't have to take my word for it. You can go to Fort Hood's Facebook page and just look at the month of May and tell me whether or not they did everything they could to find her or whether or not they took this seriously. And if you look at just the month of May and you feel like they did everything all right, then you and I are going to disagree. Because if somebody is missing, they should post something about them every day.
Yes.
And by May, she had already been missing 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I would think before somebody went AWOL, they would get their money together. They would pack things that meant something to them, sentimental. They would take more than what they had wearing on their back. You know what I mean? She didn't do anything with her money. She didn't do anything with clothing. She didn't do anything with a vehicle.
Right.
Okay,
so her car keys are found in her barracks. Her key and ID and wallet were in the armory, right? And her car is in the parking lot.
Right. And
but she ran off.
This is not a child that's missed work. This is not a child that has been complaining about work or wanting to get out of the Army. This is not a child that was late coming back from leave once because she just didn't want to fool with it anymore. No, she was still jogging every day. She was still all about her job. When they called her in on April 22nd, it was her day off. She wasn't supposed to be there. So again, my contention is if somebody's at work and they're not supposed to be there, who called them in? Because I would start with that person. Right.
And so do we know who called her in yet?
I don't know. That has not been verified, but I'm saying for them, that's a 5-minute thing.
Yeah,
who absolutely. Called her here? I mean, she's got a supervisor. She's got a coworker. Where are we at, people? What's happening?
Right.
Okay. Right. And it's just, one of those things that kind of snowballs from there. And her family is becoming more and more vocal, and they've got more and more presence social media wise. Now everybody's starting to saying, God, this girl is gorgeous. So you look at that and you're like, what do you mean they can't find her? Like everybody on that base should know who she is, right?
Right.
And then you start to get a little more steam and they're saying, yeah, she's been missing since April 22nd. Wait a minute. This makes no sense. Well, then I was on Nancy Grace with the family and, Fort Hood is huge.
Yes.
And I mean, they've got, 300,000 acres or something ridiculous. And so there's enough there. There's enough space there to hide her. And, I was thinking, you start there. You've got to look at that entire campus. Because again, she didn't drive away. We know that.
Right.
And
right.
Since people, they got the tags and everything else when you come on and off base, unless they were real lackadaisical, which there's no excuse in, nobody should have been able to come on that base and kidnap her and get her out of there.
No, it had to be somebody from the base or somebody that had a pass.
Hello.
Right.
It had to be somebody from the Army, and not just the Army, but on that base.
Right. And you're saying about her being beautiful like that. I mean, I was in the military. I was very tiny when I was in the military, very, well ripped, the whole thing, and I had a TI that made a comment once I got out, because I ended up getting injured and got out. So I didn't stay in very long. I didn't even make it through basic. I dislocated 2 kneecaps and was out.
Lord.
So my TI, I was drinking in a bar. I didn't want to go home, and I was drinking in a bar, and my TI came up, and he was like, "Oh my God." And he goes, "Is that," and I turned around and he goes, "Oh my God, it is you." And he goes, "Man, you clean up real good. But I knew if you looked good in BDUs, there had to be something better about you when you're out of BDUs." Right. So you're talking about her being so beautiful. You're absolutely right. Everyone should know who she was. Everyone should have noticed her. She's not just a girl who blends the hell in.
No, she didn't blend at all. There is nothing about her.
No, she ain't going to blend. She ain't going to blend no matter where she's at. But she sure, Lord, ain't going to blend, amongst people that are wearing the BDUs. I mean, she's going to stand out.
She's going to stand out. And she did.
And she did. So you would think when she went missing, everything would stop.
Right. But there's so much going on that base particularly that is just not right. But let's go back and say, okay, so she was claiming to her family and a few military friends that she was being sexually harassed. So do you know anything about that? Do you know what the claims were or who she was claiming?
Yeah, her family said that she told them that when she goes on these long jogs that this person would follow her. That one time when she was in the shower, he entered the shower and sat down and watched her.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That is so brazen that there is no possible way that was his first rodeo.
No.
There's no possible way he did not think psychologically he was able to control her, because that's exactly what he was doing in that instance. And the issues from that alone, as soon as her family told the Army, this is what she told us, and now she's missing, and it was a supervisor. You're the people that you should go talk to. That list is very small now.
It is very small.
She doesn't have that many supervisors that she deals with on a day-to-day basis.
Right. And the chain of command is very clear,
Very clear. Very clear.
Very
clear.
clear.
And there's no gray area.
There is no gray area. And who would have access to her? Who would know when she went jogging? It would be the person that knows when she's, on duty versus when she would be, free to, run and that sort of stuff. Much less when she takes a freaking shower.
Right. Like that's I hadn't heard that part. That's scary. Yeah,
that's what they told the Army. But then the Army comes back with, we have found no credible evidence that she was sexually harassed. She's dead.
Right, she's missing. She's not here. Hello.
And you knew she was going to be dead. We all knew it. I mean, we all knew it. And so,
I know, and it's so sad when that happens, because it's like, you hold out that last moment of hope of just, oh please, let it not be this, and as people who deal with this every day, you, me, Brandy, law enforcement, I think that hope is always in the back of our minds, but we know in the front of our mind that's not going to happen. When Gannon Stout went missing, within hours I said, that little boy is not coming home alive. And I was crucified for it in a group for saying it. We've got hope. And I said, you can have hope all you want. I'm sorry to tell you this. I've looked at the facts. I know the case, and he's not coming home alive.
That's what I said about Vallow. I mean, we knew those kids were never going to be found alive. I mean, you want hope and you want to be proven wrong. those are the times you really want to be proven wrong.
Y'all,
And,
I tell people all the time, if I'm wrong, it's good news. I want to be wrong.
Well, and I'm in Texas. I'm only 5 hours, I think, from Fort Hood. And so we've been getting a lot of this early on in the news here locally. And it was one of those things, I mean, as they're talking about it, I paused the news and my husband and I looked at each other and he said they weren't finding her.
Yeah.
And I said, nope, here we go again, you know. And it was just one of those upsetting things because we're ex-military.
Sure.
And you don't want to believe that about your brothers in the armed forces, you know, but it's there and it's sad.
Correct.
Right.
But here's the thing where this gets twisted though. They have a suspect, right?
Right.
And the suspect is Specialist Aaron David Robinson. So they start looking for him. Like June 30th. They're looking for this guy.
So crazy.
It's so crazy. So June 30th, they get a good beat on him and they start to focus and they're literally walking up to him on the sidewalk because he had fled the base. He fled the base.
It's a little like the road tees and he's right there.
He's right there. So as they're walking up to him, he brandishes a firearm and commits suicide right there on the sidewalk.
And I believe this was just a few hours after the remains had been found.
Correct. Mm-hmm. And apparently CID got his girlfriend to make a phone call where she tells him, hey, they found some pieces. So they're focusing on Find My iPhone. They're finding out where he's at. Mm-hmm. So they know where he's at. They're zeroing in on him. They're going to get him. And he's not going to be taken alive. So the number one suspect in her murder is now also deceased. But then they arrest the girlfriend.
So now we get no answers, you know?
Well, not necessarily, because then they arrest the girlfriend.
Right.
And the girlfriend tells them, yeah, this is what we did. I bought some cement on Facebook Marketplace, and we tried to burn her in the fire pit, and then we hacked her up, put her in different places, and we covered her in cement.
And all of this is what? Because is this the person who was accused of sexual harassment? I mean, that's
a different person.
Yeah.
No.
He wasn't in her, he was like worked across from her. He wasn't in with her directly.
Right.
Doesn't sound like we have the whole story then yet.
No. I think it's going to get bigger and uglier. This thing is deep and wide. So again, on Fort Hood, they've had soldiers, since 2015, for sure, caught up in prostitution suites. They had one sergeant literally pimping out of Fort Hood. So they've had human trafficking. Again, with the armory, you should obviously be concerned. Has anybody been running guns?
Right.
The fact that she was the focus with not one but two men, and it looks like maybe two different things they were focused on her about. You just can't ignore what's been happening on that base. You have another soldier, a male that was found not too far from where her remains were.
And
the year before. Yeah.
And
he
there's
came up missing the year
missing.
before.
And there's still others that are missing, to my understanding.
Yes, and there's others that they still claim are AWOL.
Yes.
At this point, Fort Hood has got a major PR problem. They have a major, y'all got to come to the table and be transparent, because on the one hand, the family says they won't tell us nothing. And then you've got the general standing up there going, oh, we've stayed in constant contact with the family. Well, both those things can't be true, General.
Right. One of these things is not right. Somebody's lying.
Is when you tell me there's no connection, seriously, they work together on the same freaking base.
Right. So you're just telling me that he just randomly chose her? It has nothing to do with the sexual harassment. It has nothing.
That's what I'm saying. And if you start looking at the other things, these criminal enterprises that are going on at Fort Hood, they're documented. It's not me saying it. It's not me just trying to make something look bad. But, the Army, kind of like law enforcement, we got to get real with each other.
Yes.
You know, people are upset about law enforcement right now too, but here's the deal. When you recruit people because they only have a GED, hello?
Right.
You know,
and when you put the responsibility on these kids that are 18, 19, 20 years old
but that's
to go
what I'm saying.
and do, no, exactly. And that's why, you know, these kids, they can't drink beer, but they can go and fight in another country and see horrific things. And then you just want them to come back. Oh, they're fine. They're fine. No, they're not fine.
No, they're not.
But the Army will take people with a criminal record.
Yes, they will. I think they're one of the only, aren't they? Aren't they the only branch that will? Or the Marines? I think Marines.
But my point is, you cannot be shocked when you in a barracks, you have these 18 to 22-year-olds crammed in there. Some have criminal backgrounds. Some are away from home for the first time. You say they can't drink, but come on, they are all drinking.
They're all drinking.
They all got this first paycheck, and they all are going to get tattoos, and all this stuff is happening. It's the great American fraternity. We're going to be, you know.
And it's beyond that. It's hoorah, you know, to the end. You don't tell, I don't tell. What happens here stays here, you know, and that's a conversation that needs to stop. Like, there's things that have to.
If you complain, you're weak. If you complain, you're weak. And we're going to get rid of you, and we're going to do a code red and all of these things.
Right.
And listen, I'm in a male-dominated field. Believe me, I will straight up tell you, there's some people I don't mind being behind at all going through a door. Okay? And we need that. We need tough, brave, smart people. But I'm saying we have to see it sometimes for what it is, and there's a way to limit criminal behavior.
Yes. Well, and one of the things that we're working on with you, you know, that besides the Love Wins, you know, what Christina put forward was the Gale Force. And we've talked about that on several of our episodes. And that is that in that, you know, she wants to make it a safe place for law enforcement or military or whatever you are to be able to talk about these things and call out other officers or, you know, other members of the military. But on top of that, what her main thing with that is making sure that these law enforcement and military men and women get help and get mental help and not be looked down upon as that means you're weak. You got to go to the psychiatrist. Oh, you're weak. No, you're not weak. You see some shit you shouldn't have to see. These people see the people, they don't meet you on your best day. They're meeting you on your worst day. You know, and they have to go home and they have to deal with the fact that they just saw some really horrific crap. You know, when Stephen David Lampley came on the first time and he was telling us about how he worked undercover in the sexual predator rings, I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, the things that this man must have seen and had to look at and has to deal with. How do you process that in your head and continue to live a regular life? You know? And so we've got to do better. We have to be more supportive and help these people that, like you said, to stop this. And putting criminals, you know, when you have somebody who says, a judge that goes, well, you can go to jail or you can join the Army, you're setting them up for something that might not be a good idea. I mean, some people may come out better, but some people might not.
Listen, I know very few people that have even gone to jail and changed their ways.
Exactly.
So what is, if you say you're going to go to jail, you're going to join the Army, they join the Army and like, haha, I got over. But
now I'm a badass with a gun.
and they figure out a way to make a criminal living there too. So I'm saying again, it's not enough you're in the Army, you're also pimping. It's not enough you're in the Army, you're running drugs. And then you're selling guns. I mean, so what's an M16 worth on the street? Because he can get one. And that's what I'm telling you, you have to look at. So when you take somebody and you say, okay, he's got a GED, so he's not interested in becoming, you know, a general. So we're going to keep him right here. And he's going to do all the grunt work. That's what they're doing. And it's on purpose. And I'm just telling you, it's like law enforcement. They'll take a GED and then you're not going to be paid a lot. And if you, then it's like, it's going to dawn on you, wait a minute, I could die and they're only paying me what? Okay. So then I'm going to work these extra jobs and that sort of thing. So I'm just telling you, you've got to look at that. The biggest thing for me in this situation, with the person that has chosen to commit suicide rather than face reality of what happened, there is not one person that is going to be, well, let me just say it this way. People are now coming forward about how he acted even in middle school, in high school. Well, no shit.
A leopard doesn't change its spots.
Okay. And the thing is, you're coming out now, which is great, but where have you been? Because this could have been prevented. Because the thing that will, you know, should just blow your mind, right? I mean, just blow your mind is you can come in the Army if you're a sexual predator, but not if you're flat-footed. Get the hell out of here.
Right. That makes so much sense.
Right. Okay. If you can't duck walk, then you can't be here. If you can't see, you know, red, white, if you can't see, if you have what is it? The thing with the eyes. Colorblind. Yeah. If you're colorblind, no, sorry, we can't take you. Oh, but you had a sexual assault charge at 12. That's okay. Don't worry about that.
Come on in. Come on in. And here's the other thing. So from middle school to high school, you couldn't stop grabbing women and saying weird crap. And I quote, this is on Facebook. I'm quoting somebody. He used to whisper, yeah, I'd like to drag her in the basement and tie her up.
Jesus.
So he can join the Army. He can join the Army, but not some kid that's got too many tattoos. Shut up.
Right. And that's the thing.
Curious to see what else comes out about him, though, now that he's gone.
Baby, this thing is going to be so deep and wide, y'all ain't ready. And they need to just kind of, again, put it out there slow, because I'm telling you, the amount, the ripple effect is going to be just, it's got the devil all over it. I'm telling you.
Right. Well, I told you I was contacted by a sister of a guy who was in her squadron who experienced some of the same things that they're claiming with her. You know, he ended up suicidal. He was in the hospital and termed AWOL. And then, you know, and then found out that he was claiming that he had been, you know, abused, and he was punished and sent home. And now he's dealing with this, and we're working to talk with that person and find out what they know. You know, I mean, but this is it's going to go deep and wide. I really do believe. I don't think this is the last we've heard of this. I think there's going to be a lot more that comes out. But this is happening across the board in so many ways. It's happening in Hollywood. It's happening, you know, in the law enforcement. It's starting to come out that, you know, these people are certain police officers are not doing the way that they're supposed to be doing, you know. And now it's hit the military. It's just, we need to take a real step back and take a look at what is going on.
Okay, real conversation. The three of us, three women.
Okay.
I'm just going to ask the two of you a series of questions.
Sure.
In high school, did you know any girl that was sexually assaulted in some way? I mean, it could be sexual battery or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, both of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
College?
Yes.
How about as an adult?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
If we were to flip the conversation and you were to ask my husband, did you know any girl in high school that was sexually assaulted? He would say no. If you ask him about the girl in college, he would say no. That to me is the problem. Men don't recognize it in other men. And they ignore some of the comments, and they ignore some of the behavior. It's laughed at in the locker room. Well, I just slapped her on the ass. You know what I mean? She walked past, she wanted it, whatever. So they ignore these things, right? When you look at the press conference, you have a general who is a man who literally said, well, we have interviewed over 100 people, and none of them have said that they had any sexual harassment from this same individual. Well, here's my question, General. You lined up everybody during, you know, roll call, and you really wanted a woman by herself to go, well, it happened to me too? You're an idiot.
Not gonna happen.
Again, well, there's not a woman on that stage. There's not a woman on the stage talking. It's men saying, once again, we have no credible information. We just have a dead girl hacked up with a hatchet in a shallow grave. We don't know why he did it.
And that's the thing, like, what woman is going to sit there and think, well, what just happened to the last girl? She's hacked up.
Hello?
And she's,
Right.
what's going to happen to me if I say something? Is it going to happen to
in
me?
front of 500 people? Are you crazy?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was when you asked about high school, and I was in high school, and a friend of mine came to me, and she told me that one of the kids in ROTC with us, okay, we were all ROTC kids. She came to me and said he cornered me in the girls' bathroom. He followed me and he cornered me. He threw me up against the wall and he tried to assault me. This is on our school campus, and I kneed him in the balls and I got away. Well, I went ballistic. Because I knew who he was. I had known that he had made these types of inappropriate comments and things for 2 years. I had seen it, and nobody did anything. And so I lost it. And it took 6 guys to pull me off of him. Now you got to think, I was 5'2", and I weighed nowhere more than 100 pounds soaking wet, but I was a fighter because I had to be. And so when I went after him, I got on him, and it was so funny because everybody stood around because they knew. Everyone knew. My husband was even standing there at the time, not knowing. We were not friends. We were not, we knew each other, but we didn't like each other at the time. But that's another story for another day. But he stood there, and all the other kids stood there watching me just beat the ever-loving tar out of him until the chief came out, and he stood there for a good 2-3 minutes and then said, all right, he's had enough, get him off of her, get her off of him. And so 6 guys had to come over to pull me off of her because I was so upset. And then I go to the school principal and I tell him this story, and he's like, yeah, but. I'm like, no, yeah, but. There is no yeah, but. She was assaulted in a bathroom. Well, we don't have any proof of that. It's her word against his. I'm like, are you serious? Like, I can't even believe I'm having this conversation with you. So you just don't want to take her word for it? She's just making it up? Why the hell would she make something like that up?
And y'all, that's the thing. The perpetrator knows where in this school are there no cameras. The perpetrator in the Army knows inside the armory there's no cameras.
Right.
I mean, we know. I mean, they know what's going on. And the thing is, this starts young. They figure out a way. I can look under her skirt. I can peep over the stall. I can, drill a hole in the dressing room wall. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
The other terrifying is the technology, as good as it is, can be so misused. So I am telling you, his cell phone, his computer, his Venmo, I'm going to keep saying it, Venmo, PayPal, whatever. There will be evidence of prostitution. There will be evidence of whatever they were selling, whether it was guns, drugs, or whatever. It's not one thing here. He said he attacked her because she saw on his cell phone that he was having an affair. That is so ludicrous to me, because a dude in the armed services having an affair, if that ruins his career, we're going to be down to one person.
For real. Right. For real. I'm serious.
I mean, we all know you hit that port and you go somewhere to have some fun and find somebody to have some fun with. I mean, that's even depicted in the movies. Nobody's going to. I mean, when you take a man away from his family and you send him somewhere, even if it's not war, okay? Like my father was stationed in, I think it was Korea for several years. He was stationed there. We couldn't go. We were not allowed to go as the family. We were not allowed to go. My father came home every couple of months. Are you serious? Do you really think that man is not going to do something for 2 years? Away from his family, his wife?
My husband says,
me?
All the time, my husband says his dad was in Okinawa. And he says, I know for a fact, I have no doubt I have a half sibling in Okinawa. Because he's like, there was no way my daddy spent 2 years over there and didn't have fun.
They gather at those bars and just wait for them to come in. I mean, that's how they, they go officer and a gentleman their life,
That's what they do. They're like madams, and they set them up with these men if they're single, especially, and marry them off, because that is what they do, because they're good military man. They make a good living. They're going to take them out of the poverty that they're living in, and they're going to give them something that they don't have, and that's unbelievably true all the way across the board. It happens.
Well, I'm going to say again before we run out of time, because
Yes.
I think it's so relevant that people put in perspective what has happened. Again, Bubba Wallace had no crime committed against him. He was not physically hurt. He certainly wasn't murdered. And he got 15 FBI agents working around the clock. He got the entire NASCAR to say, we're going to stand by you, support you, push your car, and showed a whole scene of solidarity. 22-year-old soldier goes missing. She's AWOL. She gets no FBI. She gets no CID. She doesn't get 20 agents working around the clock to do nothing. They won't
for
even
6 weeks. They won't even. Yeah, for 6 weeks they won't even acknowledge that that anything's wrong.
Okay, and they barely even hit their very own Facebook page. So that's the issue that I have, is that things that should be taken seriously and worked like crazy are not. Now, if that had been a hate crime, it still didn't take 20 FBI agents.
Right.
So
exactly.
Fair is fair and right is right, and common sense should prevail. And
but
we should demand it. We should demand it, though.
We definitely
that's
should.
What I'm saying. Because people are, I've had a lot of people inbox me saying different things that I'm, they're twisting what I'm meaning about Bubba Wallace, and I'm being freaking clear. He did not deserve 20 FBI agents. You mentioned Laurie Vallow the other day. Okay, Laurie Vallow killed 2 children.
Yes.
117.
Where are the FBI agents on that? They're
okay. She got 20 for 2 murders and 3 houses, 2 different crime scenes, 2 different burial sites, 1 fire pit. They got freaking 20, and Bubba Wallace got 15. Get out of here.
For a garage pool that he never saw. He never saw. That's what makes me the most upset about that case, I have to say. It's one thing if he was really upset and everything, but he went on all these talk shows everywhere talking about how he saw the evidence, blah, 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 blah. It's just astounding. I don't understand. And then to come out later and say, well, I never saw it. I just went by what they told me. Are you kidding me?
And I don't even want to get on a tangent about that. I just say, look what he was afforded.
Yes.
And he was not injured at all.
Yes.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. Meanwhile, we've got all these cases that are not solved, that are going unnoticed, that don't get picked up in the media. I don't think this would have been picked up in the media had the family not pushed for it to be.
I guarantee you wouldn't have been, because there's 8 other women that's been murdered at that base. You don't know their name. There you go.
Exactly.
And you didn't hear much about the Morales gentleman that come up missing the year before.
Right.
There wasn't a whole lot about him either.
Right. So again, same base, both Hispanic, both within a short distance from each other, both in a shallow grave. We got to get on this thing, y'all.
Right.
There are no
something's got to give.
So you can tell me there ain't no connection. That's funny, because I see a bunch of them.
Right. When I can take a line and draw it, I'm like, okay, look, this means that it's like when you're in, high school and you're in geometry, and it's like, okay, so you're doing the proofs where it's like, if this, then that, hello, did you guys not do that in high school? Because I'm seeing it. I didn't do very good in geometry, but I'm seeing it like, hello,
I've offered our help. They're not going to call, but I've offered it. I've offered the family. There needs to be an congressional hearing, period.
Yes.
Period. And I'm one of those people, as far as that general, you either knew it or should have known it. You have the buck stops with you, dude.
That's right.
You failed.
Yes.
You failed Vanessa. You failed the people that went before her. You are failing the people that are standing there now that won't talk to you. Because here's the reality, y'all. 1 in 5 women are sexually assaulted. 1 in 5.
Right.
That's right.
On an Army base at Fort Hood, it's 1 in 3. Dude, that's on you.
Right.
That's
and you are
sir.
And that's the thing. You're the general, okay? You're the general. It's like it's your house. You should know every single thing that goes on in your house. This is your
1
home.
in 3. 1 in 3. And you say nobody's talking to you. You are failing.
Not even that. Let's put that aside. You don't know that there's sex trafficking and pimping and gun running on your base. It's your base.
Right.
Well, as soon as he found out about it, as soon as he found out about the sex trafficking, what was the first case? 2 years ago that the first sex trafficking ring was busted? He should have gone down and cleaned house.
Right. Absolutely.
With everything going on.
Y'all, with Sergeant McQueen, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Brandy, is that the one? Yes.
McQueen.
Okay.
Were you talking about Sergeant McQueen?
Yes.
I think so. I think that is the one, the first one
he was straight up
that's
pimping.
publicized about. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. But it shouldn't have just been him. Somebody should come in and talk directly to him and say, sir, you have failed. You are now relieved of Fort Hood.
We need some people in Leavenworth. That's what needs to be happening. You know, I mean, they need to be prosecuting them and court-martialing them and sending them to Leavenworth. This cannot continue to go on.
Correct.
Well, I know we're a little angry at this point. we got a little angrier than we usually get on here. Now,
here's the thing, and I want to be really clear for any men that are listening or anybody. I'm not angry. I'm baffled. I am passionate about it. But again, we have got to have men at the table, because here's the reality. They are the ones in the locker room. They're the ones that allow some of the remarks. They're the ones that just for whatever reason don't see what the rest of us see. So we've got to have their help with saying, dude, that's not what a real man does.
Right.
Or I don't think that's really funny. Or because here's what is it's always funny to me is if you hear somebody, whether it's in music or in a movie or in just a party, if they make some crude comment about a girl, if you were to say, hey, if somebody said that about your sister, what would you do? Oh, I'd knock them out. So you know it's wrong. You know it's wrong. You know everything about it is wrong.
Right. If it's your daughter, your sister, whatever.
Not one boy, not one young man, and not one grown man is going to go, oh, you can say that about my sister. Sure, you can grab her on the butt anytime you want to.
No.
They all say they would knock you out. So you do know. You absolutely, emphatically know. 100% you know. Well, then when a woman alleges it, you should believe her because you know what all your friends have said. So you know at least 2 of them have freaking done it. And
I'm not saying that there aren't women that don't capitalize on things, that don't come forward and maybe tell a tale.
Embellish.
I'm not saying that happens. It happens just as much. But you know what? When we're living in a society that we know that what R. Kelly was, we know what Michael Jackson was, and we can still find all their music and it's everywhere and it's still revered, and that is a problem. That is a problem.
Yeah.
You know,
but there's things in place for that. If she makes a false report, if she claims that isn't true, she can go to jail and you can sue her. I mean, there's things in place for that, but that is so rare compared to what's actually happening. The number of women that are murdered and also sexually assaulted,
especially when it's not, especially when it's
serial killer, right?
Right.
But can you name a serial killer that wasn't a serial rapist?
Right. Exactly. We don't even say that. It's not something we talk about. People like Brock Turner are getting off with what a couple of years because they don't want to ruin his career. What do you want to do with her? She's ruined her life is ruined. She will never be the same. Yep, and
nobody rapes one time. Nobody rapes one time.
No. Not unless they're stopped, you know. I mean, look at Golden State Killer. He went on and on and on and on and on for years and years and years and years. You know, so, and the thing is that what I was going to say is, you know, if it's a celebrity, I can get that a girl might come out thinking I might get a payday out of this. I'll say something. I was in a room with him and it kind of went weird or whatever. Okay, we're seeing that happen, and I can see where some of that might happen. Very, very rare in my opinion. But when it's just a guy, just a regular old guy, just some guy that's at the base, you know, and he's not got money, he's not going to be some big thing that's going to politically make my career or, you know, none of those things, then what is the point of her doing that? Why would she say that? Why would she come up with that? Who makes up that somebody sat down and sat there and looked at me in the shower? I wouldn't even know to begin to come up with that, and I write this crap, guys. Like, I write crime dramas. That's what I do. Besides this, I write crime dramas. It's my thing. I like doing it, and I'm getting ready to sell a show right now that deals with that. But like, to me, I would never in my mind, as I'm sitting there writing a scene, think about, what if a guy just came in and sat down while she was showering? No way in hell would I think of that.
Right. And we still hear things like, well, what was she wearing? Right? We still hear. And
that's why a lot of women don't come forward, because they're put on trial for their clothing, what kind of panties they might have had on, what their attitude was. Why were you doing that?
How many drinks did they have? Why do you not remember? What it's they're put on trial themselves.
Well, I'm going to give y'all an answer, because here's what I normally ask people. How about that 3-year-old that was sexually assaulted? What was she wearing?
Right.
Exactly.
And how about that 89-year-old?
What was she wearing? Right.
Okay.
Right.
So sexual assault happens across the board. There are 6-month-olds that are sexually assaulted. There are 100-year-old women sexually assaulted. There are young men sexually assaulted. There are old men sexually assaulted. So transgender
and the homosexual, there's transgender, the homosexuality community, the LGBTQ community, it's very rampant there. Yes,
you can't tell me what they were wearing had anything to do with it. This was that perpetrator only.
Yes. Well, I thank you so much for all your information today, Sheryl. It is so great to always have you on. We love you to death. I know I'd asked you guys to do a monthly thing, but I kind of call on you a little bit more than that.
It's all good. Listen, tell your folks that are listening today, call their state or senators and Congress and call the judiciary head and demand a congressional hearing at Fort Hood. Demand it.
Okay. Well, that's absolutely. You guys hear her? Demand it, guys, because
demand it.
This woman knows what she's talking about. She is a very smart lady, and she is one of my very, very, very favorite people. So I thank her so much for coming on here today. The things that we are working on together with her are just incredible. I can't wait for it to just take off, and really change the world in good ways. I can see us doing so many good things together. So
love wins, baby.
That's right. Love wins. It always does. All right, honey. Well, you have a wonderful 4th of July. I hope that you celebrate the freedom of this country in an epic way, and just have an amazing, safe day. So
I'll tell you how I'm going to celebrate it. I am going to celebrate with friends and family, but I am on call. So I will have my badge next to me at all times, and I could not be prouder of that.
I don't think you ever stop working, do you?
For what, sugar?
I don't. It's so funny. Our public, we just hired a publicist just a couple weeks ago to help us with some things. And he says, well, I don't stop working on the weekends. So if you ever need me, then you're fine. He said, but you have a wonderful weekend. I said, what makes you think that I stop working on the weekends?
Yeah. Well, like they say, if you love it, you ain't working. And
that's right. I love it. Yep.
You just think, things are important, and this is a very short amount of time out of my entire 3-day weekend. So it's all good.
Right.
Like I said, hopefully we're going to do some good, but we can all do something for Vanessa, and that's make a quick phone call and just say, I want a congressional hearing at Fort Hood. Period.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you again, Sheryl. Have a wonderful night. Brandy, thank you for stepping in. Hey guys, so a couple nights ago, we launched a special campaign along with Sheryl McCollum from the Cold Case Research Institute called Love Wins. And what this is it is our answer to all the chaos that's kind of going on right now. The chaos from the riots, the chaos from all the different, pandemic, everything that's happening in our lives right now, all the issues with, the different lost lives that we've had from before the protesting, after the protesting. So all the lost lives that have come out of this, the lost lives of COVID even. And so #LoveWins is a movement to usher in peace, and knowing that above all, the only way that we're going to get through all of this is loving each other. So what we're actually doing here is we are creating a scholarship fund in remembrance of all the lost lives in 2020 so far and ushering in peace. And this scholarship fund will go to anyone that wants to go ahead and enter to win. The criteria is really cool. All you have to do is make a 30-second video of yourself and explaining to us how you lead with love. And we are looking for college age students that are, struggling. Maybe they can't get scholarships. Maybe there's a reason, that they aren't available for them, or it's just not enough for them. And so this is our way of helping out. We're hoping to raise about $5,000. If we raise more than that, then we'll look into giving more than one scholarship away. The way that we're doing this is we have some merchandise. It's #LoveWins merchandise. And there's also Lead with Love merchandise. They've got shirts, cups, mugs, stickers, anything you could possibly want. And we're going to have it on a couple different platforms. Currently, we're doing some on TeePublic, but I'm working on some on Cafe Press too, because they have a lot more variety of merchandise. And so we'll be donating a portion of the proceeds that we collect on this merchandise to the scholarship fund that we are creating. And then we also have a GoFundMe that will be listed in the show notes of our YouTube show and our podcast. And you guys can click on it and you can donate any amount you'd like. And all of the proceeds from that are going to go ahead and go to the scholarship fund. And we'll be showing you exactly how the money is distributed, how it's collected. We're going to be very transparent with this. We're working with some amazing professionals that from like Sheryl from the Cold Case Institute, Stephen David Lampley from the Oliphant Institute, the leading death investigator, Joseph Scott Morgan. So we're working with all of them to really show how much love wins over everything and bringing peace to a country that we really need it right now. So that's what we're doing. And we're going to go ahead and play our entries at the top of every podcast and every YouTube until we choose a winner. And our special guests that we have each week, the different people that come on and are here with us, Sheryl and Stephen and Joseph, they'll all be a part of choosing that lucky winner or winners, depending on how much we end up getting donated. So I hope that you guys join us in #LoveWins. And we hope that we get some really great entrants because we really want to see how you lead with love. Thanks so much for tuning in and dishing true crime with the Good Wives and Murder by Design. Don't forget to join our Patreon member club to get exclusive mini episodes, inside documents and pictures from the case, live YouTube discussions, our exclusive discussion group on Facebook, and get some amazing Good Wives merchandise.
And follow us on Twitter and Instagram at True Crime Wives. And for more inside information, check out our podcast, The Good Wives Guide to True Crime, on any of your favorite podcast players.
Have a good one from The Good Wives, serving up true crime one dish at a time.